Hi guys, we are gonna do my eyeshadow palette collection video, and I have an assistant here today who's gonna help me and make it a little bit more easy. My oldest daughter, Zoraida, and she's very excited. She's so excited to help me do this video. Yay. So without further ado, we're gonna start with the smaller palettes. I don't know if I'm gonna edit this in parts or if it's gonna be one continuous long video, but either way, we are gonna get started. So first, let's start with these Maybelline shadow blocks. This is the one in West 4th and 6th Perry Street, and it is the mauve one. The top shade is this very light pink shade. Then we have like a burgundy shimmer and a burgundy matte. I'm not a huge fan of these. This is going to likely be decluttered after this video, but it's still sitting in my collection as of this moment. So then we have the green one, which is the 26th and Madison Ave stack. This has a matte ivory. Then it has kind of this unique silver shade. It has like a, it's hard to see on camera, but it has a slight pink like shift to it, and it has like green sparkles. It's actually a pretty shadow. And then this is like a hunter green matte underneath. All right, we have the Makeup Revolution Clueless palettes. The first one we're gonna look at is Tay, which is a cassette tape, and then this is a color story inside. The mattes in here are super good, but the shimmers are weird. They're like this putty wet texture, but they don't apply wet to the skin whatsoever. They look kind of flat, and so I'm not a huge fan of this palette just because of that, although the mattes look really nice. I guess I just prefer something more sparkly, so if you don't mind something with just more of a sheen and less of a shine, then this could work for you, but it's just not my favorite. Then we have the Dion palette, which is like a cell phone, and this is what it looks like on the inside. I haven't played as much with this one, and it only has really one of those shadows, the like putty ones that are in that other one. So I'm gonna play with this some more, but so far the mattes in here are really good. And then this here is like more of a satin. And then this one here, Miss Dion, is the one that feels very wet and shiny like the other palette did, but who knows how this is going to apply to the lid. But these satins here look really pretty. I also want to make note that I'm a collector of eyeshadows, so I'm a collector of most things. I like collecting Funko Pops. I like collecting just various things. So I just have a lot of eyeshadows, so it is what it is. These are the Essence palettes. I had more of them, but I've given some away to my daughters. This is the Taupe It Up one, which I really love. These palettes are really good considering the price point, how affordable they are. And then the Dancing Green. And again, they perform really nicely. Then we have some one-offs. This is the Kimchi Rainbow Shards palette, the Mini Me. And I got this because the color story itself reminded me of the ABH and Embreezy palette that I really was trying to fend off on picking up. And this is great quality. It's really cute and small. I mean, if you're a person who doesn't really wear makeup that much, this might be nice. It's also really cute for like traveling. It's amazing how it looks like a full-size palette, but it's so small. But I will tell you, these pans are like the size, they're smaller than a dime. Like, I mean, look at my fingernail and the shadow pan. They're very small. And then we have the Violet Ink palette from Menagerie. This is the original one. I think they've released like maybe a 10 pan or a 12 pan Violet Ink palette, I think, that has a lot more colors in it, but this is the original little mini, and I think this has been discontinued. This palette is okay. I love the shadow quality in this palette, but the colors pull very weird on my skin tone, and so I definitely don't reach for this very frequently, but I hold on to it for nostalgia, and the packaging is so adorable. Then we have some Nabla Cutie palettes. This is the coral one. I love all of these palettes. The quality in these are gorgeous. The colors are beautiful. Love, love, love. This would be a really good Valentine's Day palette, Christmas palette. It's just pretty. Then we have the Platinum. This is a more grungy one. I think I've only used this once, and not even the mattes. I think I just used that silver here, the gem system. It's more of like a pewter color. This is a pretty palette though as well. I really like it. Then we have the Nudes palette. This one I used to use a ton for work. As you can see, most of my palettes, I just have so many. Most of them don't get used that frequently, but you can tell this one has a decent amount of wear to it, and I love this. And then the last Nabla one is the Wild Berry palette. This packaging is so fun on here. I love the colorfulness of it, but this is what she looks like on the inside. For a while, I couldn't put this one down when it first came out. I really do love this shade here, Alchemy 2. It's really, really pretty. It's kind of like a dual chrome shade. It's like pink with a little bit of like purple and blue. Really enjoy this palette. Super cute. I don't think I have to open this one up. This is the Nabla Miami Lights glitter palette. This is the first one that they came out. I think they have a different one. I don't think it's called Miami Lights, but there's another glitter palette with more neutral shades. I don't really ever reach for this, but I do like having it because if I did want a glitter, this is like really convenient packaging and so forth, but really cute. I've used it like twice. Sad to say. This is the Makeup Revolution Ultimate Nudes in Light. This is pretty much like a dupe for the Huda Beauty Nudes palette, the light one. And this actually performs pretty well. I mean, I do sometimes have creasing with the shimmers in here, but I do like this palette. I think it's pretty cute for what it is. We have another Essence palette. This is the Coffee to Glow palette. I love the little craft paper packaging on this, and it's just super cute. The inside, I haven't touched this shade here because it just looks a little strange, but this reminds me of like the Huda palette that had that weird shade in it. These shadows perform amazing. I really, really love this. If you like neutrals, you don't wear a lot of makeup, but you want to have something affordable in your drawer, this is definitely a really good option. Then we have the Violet Voss Care Bears palette, and this packaging is just so friggin' cute. And then inside, the shadows are amazing. They actually show up on tan skin, which is amazing, and I love it so much. This is a Wet n Wild's Bluing palette, and to be honest, I keep this for one shade and one shade only, and that is, let me open it. Oh, this one right here, which I don't need to keep it for that, but I do. It's so beautiful, blinding. Like, you could just put this on the lid and nothing else, and it looks absolutely stunning. For a Wet n Wild shadow, I just think this is so pretty. You see that shine there? Love it. Then we have the e.l.f. Velvet Touch palette in Island Breeze. This is one that I've recently repurchased. I decluttered my original one, but this is a cream eyeshadow palette, and the colors and pigmentation in here are so nice. I actually recently did a video reviewing the new e.l.f. Niacinamide primer along with the mascara, and I used this palette in there. So if you do want to see it in action, I will pin that up in the corner here. But love this palette. This is the Violet Voss Wild Delilah palette. This is one of those things where you lust over something so much, and then you finally get it and you don't really touch it and you don't understand why. I really do need to use this a little bit more, but it just has a very stunning color story. Like this color here, it's like a gold, but then it dual chromes to like that peachy ambery shade, and this one right here is blue, but it has like a little bit of like that red undertone. So these are the shades. They're just so stunning. I don't know why I'm not using this more, or this doesn't have more hype in general. They're actually really good quality shadows as well. But I do feel like the packaging leaves something to be desired if I'm just being more hypercritical about it. And then we have these two She Glam Chromazone palettes. There's one in Time Warped and the other one's Velocity. Let's open up Velocity first. And this one, you know, these are not amazing shadows, but they work pretty good. I really enjoy the packaging on them, and the fact that you're getting any kind of multi-chrome at this price point is pretty incredible to me. The packaging does squeak, and you know, but it feels very sturdy, and I just like the way that it has that multi-chrome look on the outside of the palette as well, not just the shadow on the inside. So this one is Time Warped, and this is what she looks like. I actually thought I was gonna like this one more, and I ended up liking the other one more when I reviewed this, but I did do a video on this one a whole long time ago when it came out. This is another palette I did a video on when I first started doing beauty content. This is the XX Revolution Extortion palette. This is an all shimmer palette, and I really like this. It didn't get great reviews when it first came out because there were concerns like this shadow here had creasing, but I didn't have any issues with that. So I consistently use eyeshadow primer though that's sticky, so I feel like people that use concealer or things like that that is a little bit more emollient probably are more prone to having creasing with emollient eyeshadows. Like too creamy things are gonna be bound to crease, but if you're using a really good eyeshadow primer and you know that the shadow has a little bit more creaminess to it, you're probably less likely to crease. I also really like how the case itself looks like luggage. I think that's kind of cool. All right, let's get started on some Pat McGrath. I have a lot here. Surprisingly, I think it's a lot. This is the Voyeuristic Vixen. This comes with that beautiful black lacquer packaging, and this is the shadow. You can see in the mirror that this is a dual chrome, so it shifts from gold to pink. I really enjoy this palette. It's a nice basic everyday palette with something special. This is the Pat McGrath Deep Space Divinity palette, and this has smaller pans, which was kind of disappointing when I got it, but you can tell this blue shade, if you can see in the mirror there, it has a red shift. It's very similar to the one in the Violet Voss palette. I like this palette and I've worn this a ton, but it is disappointing to me that the pans are smaller in this one. I wish she just be consistent with the sizes. This one here is the Pat McGrath Midnight Voyage. This is a very tiny little palette, but I think it's cute and convenient for travel. I did do a video on this kind of recently when it came out, and the quality is nice. It's pretty much on par with the other shadows that she makes. It's just miniature. These are older palettes that Pat McGrath has. I don't even know if she still sells these, but you could check them out. This one is the Sublime one, and it comes in this pink plastic packaging that's quite cheap, but this is the neutral one. And then this is the Subversive one that is the more colorful. Then we have, this is from her holiday collection. This is the palette in Bronze Bliss. I didn't pick up the mauve one, and this is what she looks like. Really pretty. I haven't actually had a chance to like really play with it aside from swatching, so this is on my like shop my stash desk. Pull out some of these Catrice 5 in a box palettes. They're very similar packaging to the Natasha Denona. The quality in these palettes are really good. I've had some Catrice palettes where the quality weren't great, but these are actually pretty good. And I believe they've added extensions to, you know, how many they have on this one. So this one is the modern smoky look. And this is what she looks like. Really, really cute. Neutral with a pop of blue. This one is the soft rose look. And it's pretty nice, like everyday. And then we have the warm spice look, which is, as expected, warm and spicy. We have a lot of Natasha Denona 5 pan palettes. We have minis and regular size ones. So we're just gonna start anywhere. This one is the mini Tropic palette. I don't think I have to open it because you can see the colors quite nicely. I do like this one. I haven't had a problem with the quality of this palette, although I know that the larger palette had a lot of inconsistency or the reviews were not great on it, but this little mini palette is really quite good. This is the mini bronze palette, very neutral, warm palette. This is the mini star palette, one of my favorite palettes because it's neutral but different, a little bit more grungy. The mini Zendo palette, really enjoy this one as well. Mini Crush palette. This came out in 2022, I believe, for Valentine's Day. This is cute. I actually prefer the Love palette to this one, which is this right here. And I just think this one's a prettier palette if you have a complexion more similar to mine. This is a newer one to me. This is the mini pastel palette, and I'm obsessed with this one right now. This is my favorite one and I'm loving it so much. Then we have the mini Lila. This is a cute palette. I don't reach for this very much. I just, you know, I think it's just these shades here are just not shades that I reach for very often, so it gets kind of forgotten in my collection. This is another neutral palette that came out in 2022. This is the mini Biba. I like this palette, but it's very basic. It's kind of boring to me, honestly, but I do collect her palettes and the quality is there, so you know, I'm not gonna shit talk it. This is the Camel palette. I believe she's been discontinuing a lot of the like 5 p.m. palettes that were in her original lineup, and this might be one that I think eventually will go away, which is kind of sad. I did want to collect all of the previous ones, but she's gotten rid of most of them, which is sad. This was also one of them. I believe this is the number 5. Yeah, this is the number 5 palette. I believe the Camel was part of that. Like, it was originally just assigned a number. But this one's really pretty. This is a newer one to me. This one is probably my favorite. This is the Cranberry palette. Love the tones in this. It just pushes the boundaries from neutral to a little bit more colorful. It's just right on the edge, you know. It's like a little bit more approachable for a colorful palette, but it's also like if you're into colorful eyeshadow, this leans you more neutral. This is the Coral palette. I think this is really cute for springtime, and it adds a little bit of dimension with this more clay burgundy kind of shade here, which is nice. It goes from light to dark. This is one of her better palettes, I feel like. Then we have the Peak palette. This was a BoxyCharm limited edition. I do not subscribe to BoxyCharm anymore, so I picked this up on like Margara or something like that, brand new in the box. And this is a pretty palette. I really like this. Again, this is like a neutral with a little bit more color with that bright orange there, like that bright orangey red. I love this a lot. This has been proclaimed by many as the ugliest Natasha Denona palette, but this one is the Jubilee palette. I think it's pretty. I enjoy this palette, but it does have a very unique color story, so I can completely understand why somebody would feel that way. But yeah, I like this one. I also want to note that this is one of the few palettes, 5 p.m. palettes, that actually has a cream to powder shadow in here. So this darker blue here is a cream to powder shade. All right, I have a bunch of Undone Beauty palettes here. Little, what do they call these? The Curator Eye Quad. This is the Brick by Brick. Then we have the Gray Geese. This one's kind of more unique with that like pinky shade here, but this pulls very silver. It's very, very unique and beautiful. This one's Outfit Optional. It's very nudie, very like simple, kind of one and done eyeshadow kind of situation going on with this one, I think. This one surprisingly is probably my favorite, and it's called That's the Tea. It just has like this really pretty like pewter purple and antique bronze shade. Very neutral leaning, but really, really beautiful. And then this one is About Last Night, and this one I also really, really enjoy. It's funny, I'm kind of coming around to purples. I used to not really be a huge fan of purple eyeshadow, but shadows like these kind of, you know, make me think that over again. Let's talk Huda Beauty. We got a ton of Huda Beauty palettes here. We have the Huda Rich palette. Absolutely love this palette so much, along with the Huda Ruby Obsessions. This palette, you know, I have this hard pan in this shade here, but regardless to that, I feel like it performs really, really well. And even that shade performs well, even with the hard pan. So I don't have any complaints with this. I do really enjoy it. Then we have the Wild Chameleon palette. This is probably my least favorite. The color story is just a little too unique for me. I think it makes sense, but at the same time, when I open it, I'm not very intrigued to reach out for it, but it is a beautiful palette. Then we have the Wild Python palette. Let's just take a moment for this packaging. Oh my god, so pretty. I'm obsessed. This one is another pretty palette. I think this is a really gorgeous one for spring, and this shade right here is kind of a dual chrome situation. It's like a purple to blue. It's really, really gorgeous, and yeah, this is a pretty palette. Then we have the Neon palette. This is like a very controversial one because of the whole lawsuit with the pigments. It's not an eyeshadow palette, it's a pigment palette, but it's gorgeous. I love it. It will stain your eyes. If you don't care about that, I highly recommend picking it up. Then we have the Wild Jaguar palette. This is my favorite one of this like animal collection situation she had going on. Ugh, this black, to die for, and this pewter shade here, oh my god, like rock your world. Love this palette. I think it's good for every occasion, even if it's not good for that occasion. I just love it so much. Then we have the Pastels Lilac palette. This is a good one. I like it. There's lots of dupes for this though, so if you don't want to spend the money on the Huda one, there's plenty of decent dupes out there, but this is a really good pastel palette. Then we have the Huda Topaz Obsession palette. This is just a nice warm orange palette. I really like this. The quality in this hasn't changed either. I've recently pulled this out in the fall and I really enjoyed it. Then we have the Nude Medium palette, and I feel like this is a palette that even color lovers really like because the pinks in here are just so gorgeous and the quality of these shadows are just so good. Like, I know a lot of the 9pan palettes don't have the best reputation, especially the Obsession ones, but these nude ones are top-notch, stellar quality. I can't say that specifically for this palette though. This one is the Khaki Haze, and I absolutely love this color story, but there's something about the shimmers in here that just kind of don't give exactly what you're asking for. That's a little sad. You know, this shade here is really pretty, but like, as you can see, they're just a little lackluster. I think they're just like too thin. They give like a nice wet effect, but if you're looking for pigment, they don't necessarily give you both shine and pigment. As you can see, like that purple gives you a great shine, but not a lot of pigment. This olive one, it has some shine, but I feel like, I don't know, there's something left to be desired with that. Let's do Dose of Colors, and then we'll get into some one-offs, some ColourPop and Viseart, and then we'll likely take a break because it is kind of a lot and I'm starting to feel my voice get a little raspier. This is the Dose of Colors Sassy Sienna palette. Beautiful. I love these, and especially these little brushes that come with these palettes are so good. These are the original ones too, because I believe they've come out with like matte packaging. This is the Marvelous Mauves. Probably my least favorite one. This is the Cutting Edge palette. Love this one. The colors and the mattes are just phenomenal, but I will say that I do feel like the shimmers, maybe not in this one, but the soiree one, kind of drier than they were previously. So this is not my absolute favorite, but the mattes are still really, really good because I did use this during like the Christmas season-ish. These are some random one-offs. This is a Lisa Eldridge Sorcery palette. If I can figure out which way to open it. This is what she looks like. Really, really beautiful. I did a look in a video using this palette and it's absolutely stunning. I really want to get my hands on the Vega one, but it is still sold out. Can't wait to see when she restocks it because I will pick that one up. This is the Tom Ford Cream Quad in Tiger Eye, and this is what she looks like. This is a pretty palette. It's one of those palettes that when I put it on my eye initially, I'm like, it's okay, and then as the formula sits on the skin, it starts to really melt into the skin and it looks so beautiful. And then that's when I realized that Tom Ford is actually kind of special. So this is a Charlotte Tilbury and Pillow Talk Dreams. I really like this. I think a lot of people that have a lighter complexion, when they use this, they were surprised with how deep and rich the matte shadows are in here. And so I saw a lot of reviews where people are a little turned off by that, but personally speaking, being more of like a medium tan complexion, I love this. I love this palette so much, and I love the quality of Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows. This is a e.l.f. quad that I got like as a freebie. Most of my e.l.f. quads I've decluttered, but this one I have actually held on to because it's okay. It's the Cream and Sugar. It's not like the most adventurous, but I feel like for something to travel or to keep in your bag, or I don't know, it's nice and simple. The brown is good in here. The shimmers are okay. This ivory is decent. Like, it's worth kind of holding on to this one. This CoverGirl Clean. This is the classic smoky eyeshadow palette, and oh my god, did this blow me out of the water. I did a video doing a New Year's Eve look with this recently, and I was obsessed. One of my all-time favorite like looks that I've created in the last year was with this palette. So good for the drugstore. $14.99 is kind of high for a drugstore palette, but honestly, I don't regret it whatsoever. So if you're looking for something at the drugstore, I highly recommend you look at this Clean Color collection. I think there's like 6 or 7 different variations of this. I highly want to pick out another one, but I just have so many eyeshadows right now. This is the Makeup by Mario Bronzy Glam Quad. This is the only Makeup by Mario product that I actually have. I recently reviewed the foundation and I actually ended up returning it because I didn't find it very flattering whatsoever. And yeah, this palette actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the Tom Ford. The matte blends on really nicely. The shimmers kind of go on and you're kind of like, meh, they work. And then as it sits onto the skin, it melts in, and it does have a like more appealing look to the eye. But I don't know, I'm not that impressed with Makeup by Mario to like run out and get any other eyeshadows from him. This is from my basket of shame. This is the Tartelette Jewel palette, and I haven't used this. I picked this up and I had the intention of doing a video like clean makeup, and I just never got around to it. And it's really cute. I will probably use it at some point, but as of right now, it just looks cute. All right, let's get into some ColourPop. I have a lot of small palettes. This is definitely too much, but it is what it is. I got it. So this is the Hello Kitty Cherry Sweet palette, and isn't she sweet? It's so cute with the little pineapple, and it's pink. I love this palette. So good. We also have this little Hello Kitty. This is the Cocoa Cutie, and this one is the blue one. Super adorable. I have the Nook ink palette from the Animal Crossing collection that they had. This is what she looks like. The quality on all of these are really good and consistent. I am pretty picky about ColourPop palettes as far as like the ones that I actually keep. If it doesn't work for me, I tend to let go of it pretty quickly. I don't get too attached to them. This one is the Fly Away palette. And I will open this just because the butterflies kind of get in the way of looking at the shadows. But this is a beautiful grungy green with that beautiful nude there. Then we have Over the Cocoon, which is really pretty. Again, this is like, this could be a Valentine's Day thing. This is like mauve-y, reds, pinks, all that. Very popular kind of color story, I think. And this kind of is like the cool tone version called On the Wing. I love this shade here. Oh, so pretty, so pretty. This one is Social Butterfly. I recently did a reel with this palette. It's beautiful. I really enjoy playing with this. This one is All a Flutter. This is like your peachy neutral palette. All of these ones with the butterfly decal on them came in a set. So these 6 right here, or yeah, 5, I guess. These 5 all came in a set. Then we have, this is the Just a Glitch palette, but it's really not the actual color story. This was a collection with 3, and I actually picked out my favorite shades, put them all in one, and got rid of the other 2. So the color story in here is not the original color story, unfortunately. And I believe these 2 were part of a collection. There was a 3rd one that was green. I believe I decluttered that one. So this one is Rumor Has It. This is like a blue, but it leans slightly like indigo palette. And then there's some teals. It's a really, really pretty color story. And then this one is Statement Piece, which is the more orangey coral one. It's kind of like the amped up version, if you will, of this one, I feel like. So if you like neutrals, then this one is for you. If you like a little bit brighter situation, then this one is definitely the way to go. Then we have the Disney Bambi collection. This is the Thumper palette. This was one of the palettes that really got me into neutrals. I feel like in 2021, I started to dive more and more into the neutral shades and cool tones. And this was definitely one that I fell in love with that year. Then we have all the quads. There are so many. So this is an Emerald Away. We're going to try to go through these pretty quickly because there's so many. And this one is Head Capricorn in Charge. One of my favorites. Tender Loving Cancer. Plum and Get It. Gotta Gate. Never Tore Us Apart. Another one of my favorites. Citrus Fizz. I have 2, well, I had 2 of these. One of them I bought for my daughter and then one for me. Such a pretty neutral little shade. Set on Sapphire. Silver Spoon. Secret Life of Scorpio. This one has a broken case. It's Hot Chocolate. As pretty as these cases are, I will tell you, they are prone to cracking. I have a couple other ones that feel a little loose. Pisces in the Sky. Really Ruby. Peach Please. The Bold and the Aries. Sorbet. Sparkler. On the Mango. And that's all of my ColourPop quads. Now we're going to get into Viseart and we'll probably take a break. All right, here we go, Viseart. This is the Leela's palette. This is a gorgeous, like, silvery, pinky palette. I think if you have fair skin, this might come out pretty pigmented. For me, it's very light. But I do still really enjoy it. This is the Peridot palette.
Is it like supposed to be a gem?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Peridot.
Look at that. The assistant is so helpful. This is the Peridot palette. And then we have the Lavender palette from the Macaroon collection. I love this one. I did a video on this. It's so pretty. I'm not a big fan of purples, but this is a cute little purple ditty to have. This is the Petit Pro Choice. I haven't played with this. Or have I? I think I've used this once. I don't remember what I think about it. but I love the greens, and yeah, it looks very pretty. This is the Paris Etoilette palette. I love the packaging on this one. Some of these, like this one, doesn't have anything fancy going on. This does have the like little macaroons. This one's pretty. The lila's simple and plain, but this Paris one is so cute. I think I did a video doing a look with this palette, probably in conjunction with another one, I think last year, if I remember correctly. Beautiful. Viseart has a great quality of their eyeshadows. This is the Matte Dark. I haven't used this. I got this on a sale because it was something that I really wanted, and then I put it in a drawer. This is the Spritz Edit. This is a good one to take out in the spring and the summertime. I'm excited to pull this back out. Very cute. This has like a cutesy design on it. Not my favorite design, but it's cute. This was my first Viseart love. This is the Viseart Bijonette palette, and I love the packaging and I love the color story, and it's just stunning. I'm obsessed with this palette. This is probably my favorite Viseart palette because it has neutrals, it has colors, the packaging is adorable, and yeah, love this one. This is another good one. This is the Cashmere palette. This has really cute packaging. Not my favorite, but very cute packaging. And then the color story in here is very neutral. It's very simple. I feel like this is a big hit amongst people with a lighter complexion. But I think it works still for me, and it's really nice like for an easy everyday look. So if you like that kind of thing, this is definitely something to consider. All right, that is it for now because I have so many other palettes to go through. These are just the smaller ones. I have a ton of 9pan Color Pops and all those other BH Cosmetics. We have Juvia's Place to go through, Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath. There's so many more palettes to go through, and for right now I think this is a good like kind of spot to pause, and then I'll see you guys in a part 2. If you guys really enjoy seeing really long extended versions of these, then perhaps later I will edit all the different parts into one long video at another point in time. But for right now, this is what you get. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Thank you so much for hanging out. Love you. Bye.